What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. The fixtures for the 2025-26 season have dropped, so I'm going to talk through the opening schedule, what it looks like for certain teams, best, worst fixtures, top six, the game week 1 schedule, who we're going to be captaining, and all that good stuff. As I've mentioned a few times in this video, prices will dictate what players we pick, but it's always nice to have a bit of a discussion in June, awaiting basically the FPL launch. And it's good to be back and getting into the swing of making videos. So hopefully you enjoy this one. Let's get into it. So let's start with game week 1. Who are we going to be captaining in the opening game week of the season? Will bench boost game week 1 be viable as well? So the opening fixture is Friday the 15th of August, and that is Liverpool versus Bournemouth. Then you've got Villa versus Newcastle, Brighton versus Fulham, Forest versus Brentford, Sunderland versus West Ham, Spurs versus Burnley, which looks quite nice, Wolves versus Man City, Chelsea versus Palace, Man United versus Arsenal is the 4:30 game on the Sunday. Huge game week 1 fixture. And then Leeds versus Everton. Captaincy initial instincts is going to be interesting because you've got Bowen against Sunderland away, you've got Spurs against Burnley at home. But honestly, right now, the best option on paper is probably just Salah. Even though Bournemouth at home is not as good as playing a newly promoted side, we know how strong Liverpool are, right? We know how good Salah was last season. Absolutely ridiculous season. He probably is going to be the best captain on paper. But if FPL price things in a way where some of the prices come up overall and Salah is 14.5 million, for what it's worth, I don't think they'll go 15 because there probably will be a drop-off from last season this year. But I think they'll go 14 like Haaland the previous season. Will we maybe start without Salah? It's a possibility. It seems unlikely right now. But if we do, then you're going to be looking elsewhere. Spurs obviously under Thomas Frank now, so possibly like a Solanke captaincy. They might even buy another attacker. I think if this was a few seasons ago, I'd be looking at that thinking Son game week 1. But obviously Son's not quite the same now as he was, back in his... I don't want to write him off as a player, right, obviously. But in his peak, he would have been amazing for Burnley at home. Probably not at that peak level right now. But Jarrod Bowen, I think, will be really popular because when we look at the best fixtures later on, West Ham have got a pretty good opening set of fixtures. In terms of bench boost game week 1, obviously the key players you need to know about are the cheap enablers, those 4.5 million defenders. So it's hard to say exactly whether it'll be worth it right now. We'll have to wait until the prices come out. But for example, if an Aaron Wan-Bissaka is 4.5 million, I guess against Sunderland away, you could argue he should be in your team. But if you've got 3 other defenders and he's on your bench, that's 1 player towards your bench boost already. And I'm not saying you should bench boost in game week 1, by the way, but if the season ends up looking quite similar to last year, where we don't have a huge amount of double game weeks later on, and most of us are bench boosting with a single game week bench anyway, why not get it out of the way straight away? Maybe an Everton defender against Leeds, or maybe even a Leeds player against Everton. I think when you look at team strengths this year, if you go by models and stuff like that, Leeds are probably quite high up there. Like in terms of newly promoted sides, they're going to be one of those that have a chance of staying up. I don't think many people will predict it, me exactly the same. But if anyone's going to stay up, it will be a team like Leeds. And they were pretty strong last year, as you'd usually expect them to be. So could we see bench boost game week 1? Possibly. I think captaincy, people are going to start talking about Bowen for sure. Maybe a Solanke, possibly. But I think by game week 1, if he's in most people's squads, Salah's just going to be the default as normal. So what I've got here is the opening 5 fixtures for last season's top 6. So Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, Newcastle and Aston Villa. Obviously, when we start putting our FPL squads together, we will look at players from other teams as well. But I think the majority of our picks throughout the season tend to come from these kind of teams. So let's look at their opening schedules. Liverpool, I already mentioned, Bournemouth at home game week 1. Not awful, not easy either. Bournemouth's team is getting kind of looked at for players, right? So Kerkez looks almost certain to go to Liverpool. It just hasn't happened at the time recording. Howson's already gone to Real Madrid. There's teams looking at Zabani, some teams looking at Semenyo as well. It's probably not going to be the exact team it was last year, but I don't think that's going to be an easy fixture. And then Liverpool back it up with Newcastle away and Arsenal at home. So actually, the opening 3 games for Liverpool are not great. After that, it's Burnley away and Everton at home. Now, as with every single game week 1 squad you put together, prices will dictate everything. If they keep prices similar to last year and Salah's 13 million again, you probably put him in. But if they increase that price a lot and the other not quite Salah level players, but just below also go up in price, all of a sudden there might be a conversation about whether or not to start the season with Salah, and potentially you could go for an early wild card instead. maybe game week 4, and bring Salah in for Burnley away, Everton at home. And then after that, the fixtures for Liverpool are Palace away, Chelsea away, Man United at home. So not amazing, but they get a little bit better. I think Newcastle away, Arsenal at home, first 3 is not great. So, will we be going for an Arsenal defender? Will Frimpong be definitely first choice? Will it be Conor Bradley? Will Kirkes come in? What will happen to Robertson? There's rumours of him going to Atletico Madrid. All these things we'll have to keep an eye on over pre-season. But I don't look at those fixtures, the opening 3 in particular, and think I need a Liverpool defender. Wirtz, what price will he come in at? I would expect like a 9, possibly 9.5. At that price, would I be looking at him? Or would I go for a player from a different team that's nailed on with penalties, etc.? I think Wirtz's minutes will be very good for what it's worth, but he ain't taking penalties off Salah. So I think Liverpool's fixtures are good. It gives us something to think about in game week 1. It's not just a no-brainer to triple up. Arsenal, Man United away game week 1. Also Liverpool away game week 3. Now, Man United, not necessarily a tough fixture these days. I get that. But it's still big, right? It still feels like a big game. And then you've got Liverpool away game week 3 and Man City at home game week 5. So as someone, I'm getting old now, so I don't know if I can remember correctly 100%, but I'm pretty sure I've started with Arsenal defenders most of the last few seasons. I don't think I will be this time. Leeds at home in game week 2 and Forest at home in game week 4 is good, but at the prices the likes of Gabriel and Saliba will be, I'm not convinced they'll be worth it. With 2 away games against United and Liverpool and Man City at home game week 5. The interesting thing will be, what price does someone like Saka come in at? Do they buy another attacker? Because Leeds at home in game week 2 is super enticing. Like, you look at those fixtures for the top 6, that is the best game in game week 2, Leeds at home. Man City have got Spurs at home that week, Chelsea have got West Ham away, Newcastle's Liverpool at home, and Villa's Brentford away. So you might not want an Arsenal player overall, but if you can fit someone like Saka into captain game week 2, that could be a consideration. And I think I'll be looking to save transfers where possible, but it might be that you start with a different midfielder and switch to Saka in game week 2. It's not an ideal way to play it, I don't think, generally, but it might be worth it for captaincy. So Liverpool and Arsenal fixtures not ideal. Man City's on paper look a bit better. Wolves away, Spurs at home, Brighton away, Man United at home, opening 4, but it is Arsenal away in game week 5. The problem with City is the same problem as always. Who's going to be nailed on? Right? If Haaland's price drops and Salah's goes up quite a bit, maybe Haaland's back in the conversation, and we know that he will play every game. But obviously, Cherki's in there now. Will he play regularly? What happens to Foden? Foden can't have a season like he did last year. Surely there'll be an improvement, but what will his minutes be like? Will Marmoush start every game? Probably not, just because he's a Man City attacker. So the fixtures are good-ish, but I just don't know if I'll be there outside of Haaland. Like, I've already tweeted about a week or so ago when Ait Nouri joined. If he gets priced at 5.5, that'll be super tempting because we know how attacking he can be. Could he play left back and Vardy or left centre back? Maybe. But you know what's going to happen? You're going to talk yourself into Ait Nouri, and in the first couple of game weeks, he's going to get benched, and it's going to be super frustrating. So Man City, as ever, are going to be enticing, and I'm sure the prices will be enticing as well. I just don't know if I'll be there. I think Chelsea's fixture run's quite good. Palace at home, West Ham away, Fulham at home, Brentford away first 4, then Man United away in game week 5. I know a lot of people are down on Cole Palmer, but potentially he could be an option. Obviously, Delap's come in, so there's a bit of competition now with Nicholas Jackson. I'm not sure I would go there. We'll have to see who else they buy. But Cole Palmer and a defender are definitely going to be in consideration. Newcastle, Villa away is okay-ish. Then it's Liverpool at home, tough. But it's Leeds away, Wolves at home, Bournemouth away, game weeks 3 to 5. So would you be starting with Isak? Potentially for captaincy in game week 3. But Villa away, Liverpool at home. If Isak's price goes up, I'm not so sure about that. And you know the likes of Livramento and Lewis Hall, their price is not going to be 4.5 million this season. So it's difficult to know how many Newcastle players we might want. And then Villa's fixtures are pretty good. Newcastle at home is probably their toughest one, game week 1. Then it's Brentford away, Palace at home, Everton away, Sunderland away. Now, Morgan Rogers is probably going to get priced where he's not worth it, although he is absolutely nailed. So he will have to be under consideration, but his price is going to go up. Ollie Watkins is definitely someone to consider, I think. He could be one to look at, possibly a defender, because I think Palace at home, maybe even Everton away and Sunderland away, you could play them. Like if they've got a 4.5 million Konza again, he would definitely be a consideration. But if he goes up to 5, maybe it's less interesting. So I think the top 6 fixtures overall are a bit of a mixed bag. I think probably Villa and City are the best fixture runs. Maybe Chelsea as well, actually. But City players I'm just never sure about. The likes of Saka and Salah we know are absolutely nailed, but their fixture runs aren't quite so good. I could see me talking myself into Saka, because Man United were poor last year, then it's Leeds at home, and then okay, it's Liverpool, but then it's Forest at home, which is not bad. But we'll have to wait and see. I like talking about the fixtures and plays and stuff like that, but so much will be dictated by how FPL price them. Do they change the rules? Will they change the bonus system and stuff like that? It's hard to know exactly what the squad will be looking like, but I'm glad to be back discussing it. So these are the teams with the best opening 5 fixtures according to Opta analysts. So on their website, they've got a chart which is based off the opponent's average rating and obviously their own model. You might disagree with that, but that's basically what I'm basing this off. So Aston Villa are there. I've already spoken about them. Watkins, Rodgers, possibly a defender as well. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the transfer market, etc. But they're definitely going to be of interest. Next up, they've got Crystal Palace. Now, Chelsea away game week 1 is not great, but after that, it's Forest at home, Aston Villa away, Sunderland at home, and West Ham away. I think in the last 2 seasons, definitely last year, I've started with Eze, and as long as he doesn't move and he's at Crystal Palace next year, I'm definitely going to be tempted again because we know he's nailed on. He did take some penalties towards the last kind of 7-8 game weeks as well, and his price probably won't skyrocket or anything like that. And he's the kind of player that I quite like. So after Chelsea away, the fixtures look good. Forest is an interesting one, especially if you watched the videos last year, because I didn't own many of their players, even though they absolutely smashed it. But attacking-wise, their underlying numbers were just not great, even though Chris Wood got like 20 goals and Gibbs White and Elanga chipped in as well. And defensively, the numbers were starting to drop off towards the end of the season as well. So their league position, great. Their FPL points, brilliant. But I don't think they're as strong as people think they are. So Forest at home on paper is actually not bad. Villa away is okay. Then Sunderland at home, West Ham away looks good. So if Mateta's still there, Eze, possibly like Munoz as well, if he's not priced super expensive, definitely going to be in consideration. Like, depending on the prices, you could see 2 or 3 Palace players in the team for game week 1. Not great against Chelsea, but after that it looks good. West Ham, Jared Bowen, if he doesn't have a massive price increase, which I don't think he will, is going to be super popular. Not only do you have Sunderland away game week 1, it's Chelsea at home game week 2. Again, not an amazing fixture, but then it's Forest away, Spurs at home, Palace at home. So 3 home games in the first 5, and 1 of the away games is Sunderland. Like, I'm telling you now, that first day or 2, when you see all those drafts on podcasts and YouTube, they're all going to have Jared Bowen. I can see it right now. Will other players be of consideration? We'll have to wait and see. Like Graham Potter, it's going to be a big season for him. Can he turn it around? Because last year wasn't great. I know obviously there was like it felt like almost like pre-season early for West Ham. Can he turn it around? Will they bring a new forward in? Will Wan-Bissaka still be 4.5? All these things we'll think about, but Jared Bowen's going to be in so many teams. Next up, opt to have Burnley. I kind of get it right. Spurs away, Sunderland at home, Man United away, Liverpool at home, Forest at home. So Man United and Spurs were not great last year. Sunderland at home is good. Forest at home, not bad. But the idea that we're going to be targeting Burnley players is super unlikely. The only way I can see us going for newly promoted players is if FPL increase the prices overall of other teams. Because they haven't done that the last few seasons. We've always been able to pick up like a cheap midfielder or a cheap defender from like a solid team like a Newcastle or a Villa or an Everton or someone like that. And it just makes looking at Burnley, Leeds, Sunderland like pointless. But if they price it, I mean, you could argue correctly, it depends on your point of view, maybe we'll be looking at Burnley player, but it seems unlikely. Also, before everyone mentions Burnley's defensive record last year, it was amazing, 16 goals conceded, but they conceded more XG than Leeds last year. Massive overperformance from them defensively. And the XG that Burnley conceded last season was quite similar to what Leicester conceded the season before, and nobody was worried about targeting Leicester. So we're not going to be buying Burnley defenders, I don't think, unless they're uber cheap compared to everyone else. And I think we can target Burnley as well, unless they have this revolutionary overhaul in the transfer market, which seems unlikely. Brentford, Forest away, Villa at home, Sunderland away, Chelsea at home, Fulham away. I'm looking at that fixture on this time last year. I'm thinking about Mbeumo. If we knew Tony was going, Mbeumo would definitely be a consideration. He's probably on the move, and Thomas Frank's gone as well. So will Brentford be as strong? They strike me a bit as like a Brighton team. They're going to be prepared for their next manager. It's not going to be this massive change for them. They're good in the transfer market. I still think they'll be strong, but I think the kind of enthusiasm to buy their players might be a little bit less for game week 1. Because you're probably not going to have that Mbeumo type that's absolutely nailed with penalties. Maybe Vissa stays. Maybe he gets penalties. Maybe he doesn't go up like a lot in terms of price. He might be a consideration because the fixtures are pretty good. But we'll have to wait and see. They're a big wait and see team. Not in terms of I will ignore them for game week 1, but waiting to see what happens the rest of June, July before I get too excited about them. And then Chelsea I've already spoken about. I think Palmer, defender, could definitely be of interest. And then we've got the teams with the worst opening 5 game week schedule, again, according to Opta analysts. And it pains me to say, but Man United are right at the top of the list. In the opening 5 game weeks, they've got Arsenal at home in game week 1, Man City away in game week 4, and Chelsea at home in game week 5. It's really not ideal. And even when Man United have performed badly over the last couple of seasons, they've stepped it up in fixtures like that. You don't want to target them still. You don't want to target like Bruno Fernandes against Arsenal at home, Man City away, and Chelsea at home. So even I will probably not start with a Man United player this year. The thought briefly crossed my mind, what if Dalot or Dorgu as wing-backs were absolutely nailed on at like 4.5 million? Could I put them in as like a 4th or 5th defender and play them against Burnley at home in game week 3? Maybe, but I suspect they'll end up being a cheap defender somewhere else that has better fixtures, or at least a higher volume of better fixtures. So Man United probably an ignore. Arsenal I already mentioned. I actually downgraded Man United fixture difficulty for this particular graphic, but Man United away, Leeds at home. I think Man United away, Leeds at home, Forest at home, opening 4 is not awful, but the fact you've also got to play Liverpool away and Man City home is not great. So I think we'll be limited with the amount of Arsenal players we pick. I'm not saying you'll go with 0, but I don't think it'll be a triple up. Then you've got Bournemouth, Liverpool away game week 1. I actually think the 3 after that are not that bad, maybe for an attacker, like a Semenyo or a Clivert or someone like that, if the price is right and they stay at the club. Wolves at home, Spurs away, Brighton at home. But I think generally in models, Brighton are usually put quite strong. Like they're seen as quite a strong team. And they've got to play Newcastle at home game week 5. So again, you're not going to have a triple up on Bournemouth. Everton's, I don't want to go against the Opta analyst model, but I don't think those opening 4 look that bad. It's going to, I'm going to get, it's like a broken record saying this. It will depend on prices. But if you get like an Everton defender for 4.5 and you've got Leeds away, Brighton at home, Wolves away, Aston Villa at home, that's a set of fixtures where I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to play an Everton defender in all of those games. But if I picked up an injury and I had to play an Everton defender against Brighton at home or Wolves away, I'm fine with that. That is a team that often finds a way to get clean sheets with Jordan Pickford in goal, etc. So although they're down as bad fixtures, I don't actually mind it. They do play Liverpool away game week 5, which is not great. I think the previous 4 are okay. Will I be going for an Everton attacker? Probably not. But again, let's say Beto is their first choice number 9 going into next year, and he's a decent price, like a 5.5 or 6, and all other forwards have gone up in price. Leeds away opening day, then a home game against Brighton. I don't mind it all that much. Liverpool I've already spoken about. I do think we'll have 1, maybe 2 Liverpool players depending on prices. And then you've got Wolves who've already lost Aït-Nouri. They've already lost Cunha. Obviously towards the back end of last season, the Pereira, they were doing okay. They've lost a couple of key players. It's City at home game week 1, Newcastle away game week 4, Bournemouth away game week 2, not great. The home games in 3 and 5, Everton and Leeds, are not bad. But right now, it's hard to say who you would go for there. If Strand Larsen's there and he's a decent price, maybe. I think looking at those sets of fixtures, I'm probably looking at someone like Everton instead. I'll just briefly mention some of the other teams that I've not talked about at all. Forest, it's interesting because I know I've said, their underlying numbers were not actually that great, but if the prices are right, I think their fixtures are actually pretty good. Like you look at the opening 10 game weeks, I'll just go through some of them. This is the first 6 or 7. Brentford at home, not bad. Palace away, okay. West Ham at home, not bad. Arsenal away, difficult. But then it's Burnley away, Sunderland at home. Like I look at as someone that's like not been massively pro Forest last season, I actually look at those fixtures and think they're not that bad. This is the opening 10, by the way, not 5. But I think those first 6 are pretty good for Forest. But I just think Chris Wood's price is going to go up to a point where he has to be priced higher because he scored over 200. I think he scored, let me just double check that. I might be talking rubbish. I think he scored over 200 last year. 200 exactly. His price is going to have to go up to like 7.58. I just don't think he'll be worth it for that kind of money. Other teams I've not mentioned. I mean, the newly promoted sides, obviously, Burnley we did. Leeds have got Everton at home. Arsenal away, tough. Newcastle at home, tough. Fulham away, pretty tough. And then Wolves away. So 3 away games first 5. And then Newcastle's one of the home games, so you're probably not going to be going there. And then Sunderland are going to be on here somewhere. West Ham at home, Burnley away, Brentford at home, not bad. Palace away, Villa at home. But again, like how many Sunderland players are you going to want in your team? Probably not all that many. Yeah, Fulham as well. Brighton away, Man United at home, Chelsea away. You're probably not going to go there. Fulham don't look bad in 4 and 5. Leeds at home, Brentford at home. But you're probably not going to start the season with them. I'm sure there's a team here that I've not talked about. Brighton, I don't think. Fulham at home, Everton away, Man City at home, Bournemouth away, Spurs at home. Doesn't look that great. Spurs, actually. Burnley at home, good fixture. But then you run straight into Man City away. Bournemouth at home, West Ham away, Brighton away. It's not amazing. I think right now, it's easy to say things look interesting because there's a mixed bag of fixtures all round, so it's not obvious who to pick. But I'm telling you now, when the game drops and certain players are underpriced, all of a sudden it becomes very obvious who to pick in certain places, and you're only actually looking at maybe 5 to 6 players that you're going to tinker with the whole summer. So we'll see how things go. We'll see what the premiums get priced at. You know, which players pick up injuries, which teams bring new players in, sell players. It can all have a shift in terms of who you pick. But yeah, right now I would say things are looking pretty interesting. I'm a bit sad I can't pick Man United players because of the fixture run. But also, maybe I'll actually have a good FPL season, like an even better one than the last 2 or 3 years, because I can't do that. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because I'm rambling on for too long now. If you did enjoy that, and the fact that FPL is kind of back, but not really, make sure to give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you again once we start getting some prices or when the FPL game releases, which will probably be sometime in July, early on, I hope, but I'm not sure right now exactly when it'll be. My guess is after, it's released on the 5th of July, 2 of the last 3 seasons. I know that because that's my birthday, and that's a Saturday this year. I don't know if it'll be before that. I suspect it might be after that, but I don't know for sure. Anyway, we'll see. It's not going to be in June anyway. At least I hope it's not. That's way too long of a run up to August. We'll see what happens. Thanks for watching. Make sure to give it a like, hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you again soon-ish.